If you're 50 or approaching it and feel the pull to start over, I'm going to share with you 5 things that nobody tells you about midlife reinvention. Things I only learned after I walked out of my corporate career at 50 and then came out the other side. There's a reason you feel this in the run-up to 50, and I'll cover that in the second point. First, we're going to start with an ending. When most people want a fresh start, they try and bolt a new identity onto their old one without ever consciously thinking about closing the door on who they were. And that's often why the reinvention doesn't stick. We mark the endings of chapters in our lives with rituals. Think about it. Things like graduations, New Year's resolutions, stag and hen do's, leaving drinks, retirement, funerals. People that have researched life transitions, like William Bridges and Bruce Feiler, have found that they don't begin with a fresh start. They begin with an ending. So if you want to start over, what little ritual could you carry out to mark the ending of your old life? It could be something quite simple, like handing back your laptop and phone when you leave a job. That's still symbolic. Or you could go for something a bit more dramatic, like burning some wedding photos if you've just got divorced. The important thing is that you do something to mark the ending of the old way of being. The second point is that there's a reason that you feel compelled to start over at this specific point in your life. It's the U-shaped happiness curve. There have been over 600 studies from around the world showing that happiness or life satisfaction follows a U-shaped pattern, bottoming out in the West at about 47 or 48. I was a textbook case. At 48, rock bottom. I wallowed for a couple of years and then walked out of my job 2 weeks after my 50th birthday. So if you're feeling this, it's perfectly normal. The good news is that happiness or life satisfaction swings upwards from this point on. But rather than waiting around for that to happen naturally, you can do something about it. And that's what point 3 is all about. If you want to reset and start again, you maybe think that you need to find your life's purpose. I don't believe that you do. In fact, I made another video on why I think finding your purpose is a trap. So if you're feeling stuck in this idea that you need to find your true purpose or your true calling, this video can help you get unstuck. There's a link to that you'll see at the end of this video. So most advice tells you to get clear on your life's purpose. I think that's next to impossible. Like, of all the possible things you could do with your life if you were going to start over, how will you ever know what the perfect thing is? Career researcher Herminia Ibarra has found that successful transitions require experimentation, not just sitting around thinking really hard about your true calling. You can't think your way into a new identity. You have to act your way into it by doing something. Instead of trying to figure out your destination and then move towards it, you have to build your way forward to find out which direction is the best one for you to go in. And the best way to do that is point 4. Don't do what I did and walk out of your job without a plan. Instead, run some small tests. Prototype your new life with a side project, or speaking to people who are already doing it, or finding a way to do a weekend version of this new thing before you bet the house on it. We've recently come back from a week-long RV trip up the east coast of the United States, which is a trial run for a bigger road trip we want to do for a month or so. And we definitely learned some things, like we never thought to pack bear spray, which is another story. Real clarity comes from trying out the thing you think is going to be the fresh start. Treat it like an experiment. It might not go the way you planned, but you will definitely learn something, and you can take that learning into an updated design for the way you want your new life to be. Every time you run a test or a prototype or an experiment, these are the 4 criteria to assess it with. How confident do you feel that this could become your main focus? Do you have the resources to turn this into something that could form the basis of your new life? How much did you like running the test? If you're eager to do more, that's a good sign. What's your gut or your heart telling you about whether this is the right way to go? Finally, we come to possibly the biggest realization I had about starting over. This is like the difference between painting a picture and sculpting from a block of stone. Instead of taking a blank canvas and applying paint to it, this is more like chipping away at a block of stone to reveal the beautiful sculpture that was already in there. It's not about coming up with something completely new to add to your life. It's about subtracting some of the roles and activities and time sucks so that you can really see what's already there. That's where the real clues to what you should do to start over actually lie. For me, it was going back to the seed of an idea that was sown 20 years ago that I'd never acted on, and then combining that with these ideas around design thinking that I'd been using more recently. And that combination allowed me to design a new life where I was using design thinking principles to coach people through midlife's challenges. The biggest trap I see people fall into in their late 40s and early 50s is they think they need to wipe the slate clean. Don't delete 30 years worth of experience. That's your biggest strength. I don't mean carry on doing what you're doing. The research on reinvention shows it works best when you can combine the decades of skills and experience that you already have and deploy them in new ways. Revisit interests from childhood or early adulthood, or strip away some of the things that you're caught up in now and rediscover the things you used to make time for that can light you up again. Helping people uncover what this is exactly the work I do now. So if this struck a chord with you and you feel you're in the dip of the happiness curve, you know you need to do something different, here's what I suggest you do. Don't just close this tab and forget about it. Run one small experiment this week. You just want to test out some of your thinking around starting over. Then come back and tell me what you learned in the comments below. I read every single one. And if you want a small experiment that you can do delivered to your inbox every 2 weeks, then you can get my newsletter from the link below. So to briefly recap, my 5 tips for starting over at 50 are: mark the end of your old life with a small ritual. Recognize this need for starting over is a sign that you're at the dip in the happiness curve. Don't stress about finding your purpose. That's pointless. Run some experiments to figure out which direction you want to go in. And don't think that you have to wipe the slate clean. Look to your past for ideas and interests as to what you could do next, and use all of that accumulated skills and experience to combine it in some new way. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I read every one. And if you're looking for more ideas about the challenges of midlife, have a look at these videos here. Thanks for watching.